Hey there, I'm Ryan.
I'm Will.
And I'm Ivan.
And you're listening to the podcast where we watch reality TV so you don't have to. Welcome to episode 24 of It's Just a Game. Hello and welcome to episode 24 of It's Just a Game, the podcast where we watch reality TV so you don't have to. Every week we're here to discuss the best strategies, the lucky ones as well, the hot goss and the most iconic moments of your favorite reality TV shows. This week, we're back, and we are going to have a lot to say about two exceptional episodes of Survivor UK. We're back on the island to discuss episodes 11 and 12. And oh boy, so much to say. Now, I'm not just going to talk on my own. No, of course, I'll be joined by my two best mates, my two pretty best friends. Wilf is here. Hello, Wilf. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. Did you know, guys, if this podcast was an hour long, we have a day's worth of podcasts. But it's not. But you've still got 12 hours of podcasts to listen to. So do it from the beginning.
The box set is available for charity for a meal for Wilf.
Wait, I was speaking to a Yoda the other day, and I was like, imagine how many VCRs tapes you'd have to have in your house you've watched in your life. My whole house would be full of VHSs, sorry.
Well, funny you mentioned that. Also here with us today is the man with the house full of VCRs, Ivan. Hello, Ivan.
Oh my God, I didn't think you could see that in the background. Yeah, okay, fine. What I like to do, I tape all of the top 40s and all of the top of the popses and all the Robot Wars episodes, and I just stick them in a big pile and never watch them again.
Well, we can actually tell because I'm looking behind you and you don't have walls, you just have tapes.
Yeah, walls of tapes, mate. You don't need walls if you've got tapes. Come on.
Beautiful.
Come on. Yes.
Now, as always, don't forget, we're entering a spoiler zone. So if you haven't seen episodes 1 to 12, oh my God, we're getting there. 1 to 12 of Survivor UK, and you do not want to be spoiled, go away and come back when you're done. Unless you want a little spoiler from Ivan. If you have seen the episodes, stay right here. Do not move because these were exceptional. We are going to have so much to discuss. If you don't mind being spoiled, though, if you like Ivan spoiling you, as I do, then we've got your favorite moment of the week here. What's been going on, Ivan? Can you tell us? Ivan, what's been going on, Ivan?
I can certainly tell you, Ryan. Let's start with episode 12, where Lee and Chris's infighting has worked. With the original Calaton members outnumbering Lenena 5-4, they hold the power by holding on to original tribal lines. Everyone's looking to eliminate Chris, even the Lenena gang, who haven't yet realised the power they've lost. The reward challenge is a flotsam memory challenge. Chris's team win fish and chips, and Chris tries to schmooze the other winners, but fails. But the next day, Nathuke raises the idea of using the obvious target, Chris, to blindside Doug. One by one, she brings the old Calatonians on board to get rid of who she considers to be the biggest threat. The immunity challenge is your classic pole hang, which Nathuke wins. Chris tries to unite Lenena against Leilani, using his second vote and bluffing an immunity idol, but none of it was necessary. Nathuke's blindside is enough to shockingly eliminate Doug. What a twist. So go into episode 12. And now that the tribal lines have been reinstalled, Hannah and Pegleg, and obviously Chris, are shocked and alone. Chris, still alive, has more of a team than ever before because they're going to start teaming up against the 5 majority. The reward challenge is a wall remain, peg remove, crotch invade situation. Chris and Matthew win, choose underperforming Lawrence to join them, and during the pizza reward, Chris suggests to Matthew that he's the first to be dropped from the Calaton 5. It's clearly false, but it works on Matthew, who now resolves to blindside Nathuke. The immunity challenge is an obstacle course followed by a barrel ride, followed by a spinning disc balance thing. Lawrence somehow wins. Lawrence, no idea why, lets Nathuke know. Lawrence lets Nathuke know that people are voting for her. She fights back, but Matthew holds his nerve, performs a big double cross, and votes out his closest ally. Nathuke becomes the 4th member of the jury, and we're down to 7? Is it 7? It's 7.
Down to 7.
Oh my bloody God, it's 7. And that's all that happened. That's everything that happened. So thanks for listening to the podcast. I've been Ryan. You can find me at Ryan Rashidi on Bebo.
Yeah, I don't know where to go from there. You've just said goodbye, so I guess like the rules say we've got to go. It's the law. So have a good night.
That's the law. That's the law set down by Jesus Christ. Bye-bye, driver.
Bye-bye, driver. No, okay, seriously, let's get into the thick of it. Now, you know me. Usually I start these episodes taking it from the top, taking it from the beginning of episode. This time, I want to talk about overarching themes because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of like overarching moments in there. Now, the first one is sort of earlier on. We've got a new king and queen. Go away, Charles and Camilla. The new king and queen are here. Nathan and Nathuke are here. Nathuke really becomes the new queen of strategy. She solidifies a Canton Island. She's a driving force. How did we feel about this almost surprise takeover there from these two becoming the strongest competitors, the strategists on the island, especially coming from, you know, somebody like Nathan, who we hadn't seen play very strategically until then? Wilf?
I liked it, but I didn't like it because I don't think there was an equality of power between both of them. I don't think Nathan was pulling any strings. I think he was just a person helping Nathuke pull the strings. And with this game, I just feel like if you're in any sort of power, you need to, like, there was a line that Christopher said, and he said, if you're not in the conversations are about you. And that means in both ways. If you're feeling like no conversations are about you in any way, you're either too strong or you're not strong enough. Like, do you know what I mean? There's a real good balance of trying not to get mentioned by being too powerful. So I think it was great, and I think the moves were great that she made in that episode. But at the same time, it was too much of a powerful move for her to be able to sort of go back into the shadows a little bit.
Ivan, do you agree that this takeover was sort of her downfall?
It was a brilliant blindside. I think her mistake was then resting on her laurels and saying, it's fine, everyone trusts me, I've even won Hannah back over, I've won Peg back over. No, mate, you haven't. She played such a brilliant blindside. That was so good, the way everyone was thinking about Chris. And then they got dug, especially because what it was really doing was reinforcing a majority of 5. But then the entire next episode, and maybe this was editing, but the entire next episode, she was going on about how she was so confident getting down to the final 5, and she should have seen it coming, and she didn't. I just really felt sad because I think it's a really strong final 3 to Nathuke, Nathan, Matt. I know we're going to go on to this, but Matt having to break that could be his downfall too. Oh my God, it was so dramatic.
Yeah, I feel like it's a really strange place to be, especially after backstabbing Doug. Like, Doug was by far the strongest player for a long period of weeks, but we even predicted that his downfall would be coming. Like, we could feel that people are going to be intimidated by him. But also with Hannah, I feel for Hannah quite a lot because I'm somebody who's really trusting, right? I trust a lot of people in my life. And then, like, I was quite lucky because when we filmed that little show that we did once, right, I was in a position where I didn't have to deal with people going against my trust, and I think I would have really struggled with trusting people and then backstabbing me. Like, and then I seen her on the beach talking about it, getting upset, and I felt for her, going, "Oh my God, I think I'd feel like I felt bad when people would turn on me, and I was the bad guy."
Because notoriously, you didn't struggle with trust on the traitors.
But no. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, she burnt her bridges quite a lot.
Yeah.
There is this gulf, I think, between people who are playing the game and people who are not. And Hannah is not. But it doesn't mean she's doing badly. It just means that she gets personally hurt, as does Pegleg, actually, get personally hurt by people backstabbing them. Then you watch Darg and Ren's elimination. You watch the way Chris is dealing with his adversity. And to a certain extent, Nathuke, though, she was a bit salty about being evicted. And you go, wow, they get it. It's not personal. It is a survival game. And I feel like the thing that makes the UK show hard, and potentially harder than the games where everyone's playing the game, is that some people aren't. Same thing with our show. People were taking it so personally that strategy was seen as an evil thing. And it's not. This is a strategy game. Nathuke played a brilliant blinder, but in doing so, hurt people's feelings, specifically Hannah and Peg.
I mean, I guess that does lead me to my next question, which is, seeing how this series of Survivor has been going, do you need to actually be a bit of a weak player to succeed?
No. No.
Because my point of view, the problem is if you're a strong player, sooner or later you've got to make a move. And as soon as you make the move, you've got this target on your back. So is there really, could you see a particularly strong player, like a star, succeed? Because honestly, Dog and Nathuke are two people I would have seen in an All-Stars. They were two of the best players, and they couldn't make it to the end because they were too strong.
Yeah,
well,
but you
disagree.
Like, you look at Chris, right? I know he's not the great player, but what happens in reality shows, I've found, when you're put under the pressure and you defend yourself and you could come back from it, you're in a really strange position. No, a strong position, because you sort of been through the experience and know how to get out of it. And he's sort of got himself out of it almost. Like, he's very... Somehow I didn't see any way that he could have got out of the situation he was in. And I literally was like, oh my God, I can't believe he's done it. Like, I took my hat off to him. But in terms of strength of players, I think you can't be too weak. But like I said, you have to sort of follow people's lead and be a bit like, okay, I'll take your lead, because ultimately it's like a head teacher, right? They give responsibility to everyone, and if something goes wrong when Ofsted come in, the head teacher deals with the shit and has to disappear. Like, do you know what I mean? You let them take that. Do you know what I mean? That's how I see it anyway.
I think also, Ryan, you have to be careful when you're saying a strong player, but do you mean just people who instigate moves? Because, yeah, and everyone who's instigated a move, apart from Chris and to a certain extent Matthew, has now been eliminated. So that is something that needs to be seen. And I don't know if that's the case in other countries' survivors as well, but certainly that is the case. If you instigate a move, your head's above the parapet. So does that mean that's a bad player? I mean, how do we decide what a good player is?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what makes a bad player, is being too bold about the way you instigate a move, and instead to be slightly slimy and slightly shady about it. Like, well, we'll see whether Matthew survives this, but I hope he does.
You know what? I'll eat my hat. Actually, you've got a really good point here. When I say weak player, really, that means somebody who's not making man moves strategically. But actually, that is sort of the sign of a weak player if you realize that being a loud strategist is going to get you eliminated. So I guess, you've both got a point. Maybe actually it is still the best player who will succeed.
But I love Chris's preservation. Like, for me as a game player, when I play games, if I see myself a weakness, the way for me to do it, you go in self-preservation mode and you try to fuck up everybody else's game plans. Like, that's what even when I would play games with you, Ivan, and you, Ryan, we've played Blood on the Watchtower, Clock Towers, and I've literally gone like, oh, I'm just going to fuck everyone else's game. Try and bring relevance. I don't know. I think he's done okay, Chris, to be honest.
I think it's very easy to look at people like Chris, who survived a long time against adversity, and think that every tactical move he's made was the right one. But that's survivorship bias, right? Fittingly, survivorship bias. So just for you at home, some of you will definitely know it. It's that picture of the Spitfire, right? It's the logical error of focusing only on the survivors and what they did, and concluding from that everything they did contributed to their survival. There's no doubt that Chris has done some really good moves, namely in the last episode, poisoning Matthew's mind to think that it was all about that he was the very end of the Calaton tribe, but in fact he was number 3 probably. Like, that was so clever to get Matt to switch. But that doesn't mean that everything Chris has done has been good. We can all agree that the fact that he ended up in that position with him and Ash and survived it, he survived it, but not through his own skill, through his own tactics. And I've seen him make a few tweets this week being like, I would have played harder if they allowed me to, but everyone was discouraging it. No, I mean, he did some good moves. He did some bad moves. He survived. It's like Alan Sugar, right? We've talked about Alan Sugar before on this podcast, and I always think up with him because he did some bad business things. He's ended up successful. Doesn't mean everything he's done is successful. And I think the same applies to Chris quite a lot here, actually.
Can we applaud Doug, though, for his like, when he got out, he was just like, well done. Like, I like that he said it before he got voted. Look, I don't see this as me as a weakness. It's because I was a strong player. And he took his hat off to everybody that voted for him. I really appreciated his way of losing.
What a man.
And that's a mark of a true Survivor fan. He wasn't mad that he'd just been voted off. He was just happy that he'd been voted off in such an amazing circumstance. In a way, it's quite similar to Ivan's leaving speech on a traitor. He was just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm out, but what a game. Yeah. That makes him deeply likable to me.
I've been chatting to him this week briefly, and I just think it's through and through. In public and in private, he's an absolute gentleman. He loves the game, and I just think he's just brilliant. I think he deserves the plaudits he got. Honestly, he's great.
He really does. Now, I guess we've touched on this, and I want to bring us back to the man of these 2 episodes, Christopher. Now, I know I've been a bit rough on him in the past 3 episodes. I've called him really lucky. I didn't find him to be a good strategist. In my mind, he just was quite irritating. And, I still think he's got some irritating moments, especially when it comes to tribal council and he catches that attitude and clearly he loves himself very much. But I've got to give it to him. These last 2 episodes, the strategy came out. And now, like Ivan says, there's a bit of survivorship bias. He's not actually the perfect strategist. But until yesterday, until the past 2 episodes, I was still telling myself, he wasn't a very good strategist. I don't think he's got it in him. It's just luck. No, I'm thinking, he's not a very good strategist still, but actually sometimes he can just pull it out of the hat. And he really impressed me. Like, is it just me who just thought, okay, right, fair. The man's moving mad, but he's moving mad in the right direction. There was some moves. I was like, that's really good. The funniest one is when he's like, by the way, let's just pretend I found an immunity idol. And then Doug's like, by the way, can we all just pretend that we haven't seen him? And I cringed the whole time. I was cringing. And Lilani, I'm so sorry, was just like, I won't tell anyone. Like, and they're all looking over like, oh my God, this is so cringe.
Yeah, he's oh god. Okay, I think let's think back to Shy and similarly with Chris here. Like you were talking earlier about, is it good to be not a threat? And people had considered him as so obviously send homeable that therefore they weren't going to bother. That's the cause of the Doug thing, and it's also kind of the cause of the Nathuke thing. So like being way behind the pack in terms of likelihood to stay is actually an advantage temporarily. I don't think it's going to last, but I did say that last time. I do think he'll go home soon, but he's been so entertaining, and no one can doubt what he did to Matthew was so clever. So good.
Mate, and he's good entertainment, mate. He was doing fucking cartwheels on the beach when they were doing a mission, and then he's pretending he's found an immunity idol. I find it brilliant TV, man.
He's got a chiseled bod. I mean, you can't doubt he's got an absolutely chiseled bod, mate.
Well, we've really turned on him. We've gone from finding it irritating to sexual desire. Pretty impressive.
Oh no, I could be both here. I could definitely be both.
Sexy man.
He's playing up to it, and we know he's doing that. And at first we're like, he's trying to make TV, and he is now making TV. It's entertaining.
Well, I like it.
I think it's a little bit diluted, but I think he's basically doing a brilliant job. The second half of the season is going really well, and I'm glad he's still in it. So there we go.
Wow, strong words of approval here.
I'll say one thing. Sorry.
No.
Can we just say nobody actually mentioned the extra vote? Nobody mentioned that there was an extra vote because what's his name got 2, right? So, but nobody mentioned it.
It must have been edited out. Somebody must have done the count.
Yeah, but that would make you sus as well, though, wouldn't it? Like, somebody had 2 votes and they didn't tell, like, who had 2 votes? Like, for me, that's confrontational discussion, no?
It's kind of clever, though, that they made him use it on a week when they didn't vote for him. I think that's great.
Yeah.
No, I mean, clearly that man is just, Chris is moving mad. Now I want to talk about Matt as well, because Chris manages to take down Matthew, and do we think Matthew sort of signed his death warrant by doing this? I'm just thinking, like, he seemed, in a way, he could have signed his death warrant because he's sort of like, even though Chris was pulling the strings, Matthew is the one who's now showing to be the king of strategy, even though really in practice he wasn't really that. So I feel like that could be a target on his back, but equally, he is so non-threatening. He's so quite easily influenceable throughout the series he's been, that you might think he's not that much of a threat, Ivan.
I still like him to win. I think you've got to make a move to be approved by the jury.
Okay.
So I think this Nathuke move might be quite interesting. I also think he has probably won the approval of Chris, Peg, and Hannah. That makes 4. With 7 players remaining, he has got himself a majority. The problem with that is they're not particularly strong players, and he has switched sides. So if he really wants to think about winning this now, he has to keep their approval, and he has to try to say to people like Nathan and Lawrence, he has to say, to try and get them to be like, okay, well, yeah, it was Nathuke, she was our friend, but also like this is it's still a strong move. It's still possible. Let's just break party lines. Let's break tribal lines and try and build a strong alliance now. So yeah, he's got rid of his alliance of 5. That is gone. But he's won a couple of friends, and we'll see if he loses his previous friends. Nathan, he'll be angry with him because Nathan's not really playing a game. But I think Lawrence can see it. I think Leilani can see it. I don't think he's lost yet. I'm still backing him to win.
Wilf, how do you feel about Matthew's chances?
I think Matthew's really nice. I think he's a kind person. I don't necessarily think he's playing a strategical game. I think he's seems to be quite easily manipulated, but at the same time, I don't think he's in a bad position. Like when you look at the last round of votes, somebody voted for Peg. Don't forget that somebody voted for Peg.
That was Lawrence.
Was it Lawrence? Yeah, but then I look at someone like Lawrence and I look at somebody like Matthew, and they haven't had that. Like I always go to the edit, so I'm thinking Lawrence and Leilani, they're going to come out on top somewhere because they haven't had much airtime, really, especially Leilani lately. She hasn't had much, so something's going on. I reckon that Matthew, Leilani, and Pegleg are all going to be sound. I've just got a feeling them 3 are going to be okay.
I don't know about Lawrence because he did do something quite stupid in the last episode.
You can't trust Lawrence in this game.
You can't describe it in any other way. Like, why?
He just out-deleted and tasked himself. Like, he literally just down his window.
Pick your alliance. Pick your alliance. It's like, why would you... Like, he's trying to play both sides because he's trying to save his conscience. Like, he's clearly doing all this for his conscience to be like... And that's the same reason why he voted for Pegleg. So it was like, hey, look, I'm telling you what the odds is I'm doing. I'm definitely not involved in that plan. No.
But why would he do that stupid move when he's already got immunity, man?
It's mad.
Like, what's the point? I didn't understand why he was like, oh, yeah, Nathuke, by the way, they were going to vote for you, blah, blah, blah. Like, and it didn't help because she ended up getting voted off anyway. But they exposed themselves.
The only answer is, as Ryan's saying, just to play both sides and be like, well, whoever wins this, I can jump on that winning side. But you can't keep doing that. It's not strong. It's not strong play. And the jury has to give the win to someone who's playing it well. Right now, I think the jury can only pick Matthew or Chris. That's my opinion. We'll see what happens in the next few episodes, but they're the only 2 who deserve to win right now.
The reason he told Nathuke was because if she does get voted out, he's got her on the jury. He did say that.
But then by saying that out loud to her...
You've killed it.
Is she going to actually... I don't...
No, he didn't say that to her. He just told her to vote. He didn't say, oh, by the way, you're going to get voted out if you're on the jury, vote for me. Like, he didn't say that, but he said it in his myth. That if I tell her and she does go out, it makes me look trustworthy and hopefully I get the jury vote.
Yeah.
Well, I think, now we've discussed quite a few of these players. I think now's a good time for Ivan's recurring segment because, oh my God, is it possible? Well, actually, before we ask for names, I want to ask an introductory question. Is it actually possible at this stage to see where this game is going? Because every week has been a complete clusterfuck.
I thought it was when there was that strong Calaton 5. I was like, okay, nothing's going to break that. We'll get to 5, then we'll get to 3, and the 3 is going to be Nathuke, Nathan, and Matt. Is the final going to be a 2 or a 3 final? Because they've had both. It's normally 2, right?
Who knows?
If it's 2, then I understand why Nathan fought back. So the way I could see the game going, anyway, it's not going to happen because Nathuke's out. I don't think anyone can predict what's going to happen from here because what we have is a fractured alliance that was very obvious and now no longer obvious. So no, for me, no idea. Will?
I agree with Ivan's for the fact that they are all very aware at this point about gameplay. Like, so aware that it's so hard to predict because you never know what happens during an immunity either. Like, who's going to get immunity? Like, and it's really hard to put... Like, everybody knows it's a game. Even Matthew's starting to realise this is actually not a holiday. Like, everyone's starting to realise, actually, I have to turn on people. I have to go with majority. I have to do all these strategic moves. So, fuck knows, mate. Sorry, I have no idea, mate.
And on that note, it makes perfect sense to bring in Ivan's recurring segment. Ivan, so it's your time to shine.
Let's go with this, right? So, Ryan, you're eliminated. I'm really sorry you're out the game.
Again.
Ren's gone. Doug's gone. You are out. You have no ability at predicting. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Can we do a 3rd round?
No.
And next week I'll need a 4th round.
Do a 3rd round after the series is over. Just pick the winner based on whether you watched it or not. I'm down to 1. One of of my players turned on the other. Matt got rid of Nathuke, so I am down to 1. Matt is in such a pivotal position right now. He's either gone next week or he's into the end. I just can't see. And then we have Willy Boy, who's got Pegleg and Hannah, both of whom are kind of playing bit parts. Both of them are kind of like just vehicles, but sorry, not vehicles. They're not vehicles. They're passengers, aren't they? They're passengers. But I can see at least one of those getting to the final 3. So, Will, are you winning right now?
Yes. Yeah, of course I am. Because what you got to think, right, is I say this from the beginning, man. I said, don't be too quiet. Don't be like too influential either. Like they've just cruised through it a little bit. Peg had this little thing with Doug, which I think could impact the future. But he seems to be, he just doesn't need to get his anger and frustration like that can't take over him, because you can tell like he was really pissed when Doug went, and like even when he lost that challenge he was pissed, mate, because he threw around the wrong peg, didn't he, matey boy? Who was it?
Lawrence. Oh my god! And then Lawrence still got the reward. Yeah,
he pissed. Did you see him walking away? But nah, I think they're in strong positions. I would like to see Hannah in the final more than Peg at the moment, just because that whole thing with Nathuke, I got to see her, like, she was really hurt by that. But hopefully that wakes her up into, like, the competitiveness of everything. And she followed through with her game plan at the end, which was good.
I have an obsession. Not obsession, I have an observation. I have an obsession with the fact that Pegleg each week seems to be becoming more and more like a cat. He just looks like a cat now. I mean, his little face, his little woolly face, he just looks like a big, warm cat that you'd like to give a big fuffle to. You know what I mean?
I mean, it got quite weird when when Joel asked him, so are you hoping to win immunity? And he went, meow.
He went, nah, just a saucer of milk, pal. That's all I want. No. Next time you watch it, just look at his face and be like, is he a cat? Because he looks a bit like a cat.
When's the last time you saw a cat, Ivan?
No, actually, it's been about 15 years since I've seen a cat.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Well, we've touched, one thing we've touched on as well is the challenges. You know, every week we discuss them because challenges are at the heart of Survivor. 4 strong challenges this time. The first one actually was just a sort of like weird, like memorize what's in the box.
Stupid. It wasn't enough to memorize. You need to have like 10 things to memorize.
Yeah.
And bring 5. Sometimes 4.
Yeah. I was like, bro, and then somebody, who was it, who took a pineapple? No, there was not one pineapple on the whole thing. And he brought pineapple back instead of a starfish.
Pineapple left over from week 1. I think also it ended up being more about whether you could get the bottle to stand up than actually remembering the order. So it's just stupid. It's bad task. Bad.
Honestly, no, just no.
The others were good though.
Although, yeah, one thing that made it good was the rewards. And, you know, it gave Chris the first opportunity to just go on a strong offensive. Like, the man, like, sat down, had a bite, and then started talking and did not stop until the end of episode 12.
They all just went, nah, just shut up, mate. It's fish and chips. And then he did that disgusting thing where he drunk. Oh, no, it wasn't him. Lawrence drunk an entire... Was it Chris? It was Lauren. Someone drank a lot of gravy. Like, someone drank like a pint of gravy.
I just don't think I could be deprived from food enough that I would start drinking a pint of gravy.
I think it's preservation, man. It's calories, isn't it? So you're like just taking as much calories as you can. I just drank a mug of chip shop curry sauce, like Bisto chip shop curry sauce.
All right.
I feel sick.
So you'd be there. You before even day 1 in the hotel, you'd be like, God, it's getting hard calories, mate. Down in the curry sauce. It's like, well, we haven't even started filming yet. Yeah, I just need some more calories from curry sauce. No, my favourite task of those 4 was the pegs one. I thought that was great. I loved it. It meant they had to keep sort of like climbing into each other's crotches, which I thought was hilarious. It was tense at the end. The only thing was the difficulty didn't really ramp up until suddenly it was far too difficult. You only need 4 pegs to stand on. So like there were 20 pegs and it's like, well, we'll get rid of the first 16. And unless you're stupid, which okay, 2 of them made some very stupid mistakes. it's not really much of a challenge. And then you go from 4 pegs to 3 pegs and suddenly no one can do it anymore. So the difficulty like ramps up ridiculously. But
I mean,
yeah.
I think this whole challenge was set up to just get that one moment where Nathan was standing over a peg and he had the peg just in between his 2 legs. And I can't remember who he was with, but she had to make sure she was picking the right peg.
It was Nathuke and Nathan.
But I can't get one out. And he's like,
bit further. Oh no, maybe try putting it back in again and then out again.
This is horrible. The other 2 challenges then, obviously a bit of pizza. Can't complain about a bit of pizza, right? This was nice. And the rope challenge as well, quite interesting, but nothing quite as strong as I think the pegs. I really enjoyed the pegs.
The standing on a pole was fun. The obstacle course, there's just too much going on. I just need it to be one thing. That was 3 tasks, right? And just make it a longer obstacle course and maybe have them go back. Like, oh, you got to untangle yourself from the rope and then just quickly run all the way back. I don't know. I didn't need it to suddenly be like doing the pottery scene from Ghost, where they're like trying to like the spinning disc.
oh, my love.
All the evicted players come up behind them and like form the things behind their backs.
Oh, well, look, still a very strong episode from Survivor, in my opinion. I had a lot of fun. Now, I guess, same question as every time. Where is this going? Clearly, we're not going to be able to guess who's winning next, but at least, do you think it gives an indication of what's happening from the preview? I'm thinking Matthew might be under a lot of fire, but then again, these previews don't give away much, do they?
I refuse to watch previews of anything when I finish watching it. I get, like, you know, when I watch a series, I don't even, and like my wife would say, how many episodes are left? I can't actually go and see the thumbnails or read it because I feel like it just gives away too much for my own brain. I don't watch anything to do with like as soon as it goes like that, I turn it off. So I haven't seen nothing, and I can't predict anything, to be completely honest, Ryan.
Yeah, no, I think this is essentially like a new start from here. They've got to build it up from scratch. I think Chris has managed to escape the worst of it. I think Matthew's got a chance to either go really, really far into the game now or get eliminated next. Can't wait to see it, but I've got no idea.
I've got one question then. If we can't sort of gauge what's going to happen, who could we say is top dog in camp at the moment?
Oh, that's hard. That's actually quite a difficult question.
We've lost quite a few of them, so who's top dog?
Is it Chris?
I was going to say Chris. He's pulling the strings.
It's Chris, yeah.
How have we got here? How have we got to this point?
Know.
I mean, you've got to applaud the man.
Yeah.
You have to applaud him.
Yeah.
It's top dog, but we're talking about like a chihuahua specifically here, just a very small...
There's something in the preview about the immunity idol, and it looks like Matt and Chris go and find it. And then from what I could glean, Matt just like leaves it on a bench and Chris picks it up. Because then Matt says, if I don't laugh, I'll cry. And Chris goes, ooh, in that big gapy mouth thing he does. And I think potentially Chris ends up with another immunity idol.
No way. I mean,
You want to bet?
the problem is I saw the preview and I sort of thought the same thing. I thought that might be happening, but if it happens, I swear to God, I'm going to start being the guy that goes on Twitter and says, "Oh, it's rigged."
I'm going to hold you to that. I think it's going to happen.
Well, yeah, it's certainly looking like next week might be interesting. Just fingers crossed. There's no idol hiding anywhere around.
Let's just hope there's no immunity idol, Wilf, eh?
Anyway, on that note, we'll be back next week. There's 2 more installments of Survivor left. We'll have 3 episodes next week to discuss.
What?
Oh no, sorry, my bad. 2. I just miscounted.
Where did that one come from?
It's an extra episode of just Peg-leg owing milk.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
We'll be back next week then to discuss episodes 13 and 14, the penultimate installment before the great final episodes. All looking forward to it?
No.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter, Ivan. I'm holding your family hostage, so you're going to have to show up and comment on this episode. I will not freeze them until the final.
Honestly, keep them. They're rubbish. I love you. I've got lovely sisters.
I'm going to cut out the part where he said this family.
Do that and I'll abduct your family, Ryan.
You go ahead. Yeah, you're not going to want to hold on to them.
It's like, oh god, I didn't think about this. Oh, they're so annoying. And they're all French. They're so French.
Anyway, on that note, we'll be back then next week to discuss episodes 13 and 14. If you like the podcast, you know the drill. Give us 5 stars, give us a like, give us a nice little comment, follow us on the street, give me a thumbs up on social media, tweet at me, click in my profile for launch, something like that. Just do something to manifest your love, please. My name is at Christopher's Leopard T-shirt, and you can follow me on Instagram with that username.
My name is at You've Just Spent 40 minutes of your life listening to a man called about Christopher.
I'm Ivan. You can find me at Lawrence's Missing Pants.
I don't think anyone can find you at that. I don't think anyone can find these. But from all of us here, it's see you next week and goodbye.